All right. Numbers 2, under the watchful eye. This is a little, what do you call it? Subsection. After God delivered his people and brought them through the desert on their way to the promised land, they would periodically stop for prolonged periods and set up an encampment. On those occasions, God gave clear instructions as to how the 12 tribes were to arrange themselves. 3 tribes each were to set up their camps north, south, east, and west of the Holy Temple, in order that the 4 groups of 3 would know where to locate. A specific banner was raised at each compass point around the temple, displaying a specific emblem or seal for the tribes for that location. And each tribe also had its own identifying emblem or seal, as God instructed Moses. The sons of Israel shall camp, each by his own standard, with the banners of their fathers' households. Numbers 2:2. All right. Throughout the Bible, banners, that is, flags containing specific recognizable emblems, were raised and used to identify the Lord's people. Psalm 64, Isaiah 5:26, 11:10 through 12, 13:2, 18:3. What's fascinating to note is that when you account for the numbers listed for each tribe, the arrangement of Israel's encampment would actually form the shape of a cross when viewed from above, with the temple and the ark of his presence and the mercy seat in the midst. Coincidence, or perhaps the mystery of the gospel and his purpose hidden in plain sight until its appointed time. 1 Corinthians 2:7. America also used an emblem or a seal to identify itself, called the Great Seal of the United States. History begins with the birth of a nation on July 4, 1776. On that day, Congress appointed John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, and Thomas Jefferson to bring in a device for a seal for the United States of America. They eventually proposed crest, the eye of providence in a radiant angle whose glory extends over the shield and beyond the figures. On the other side of the great seal, said seal, should be the following device: Pharaoh sitting in an open chariot, a crown on his head and a sword in his hand, passing through the divided waters of the Red Sea in pursuit of the Israelites. Raised from a pillar of fire in the cloud, expressive of the divine presence and command, beaming on Moses, who stands on the shore, and extending his hand over the sea causes it to overwhelm Pharaoh. Motto: rebellion to tyrants is obedience to God. To see more about the symbolism of the Exodus from Egypt that was so often used by the founding fathers, see the commentary accompanying Exodus 1 through 14. The motto they proposed for the seal was derived from a 1750 sermon preached by Dr. John Mayhew, a leading figure in the national revival known as the First Great Awakening. To learn more about this sermon, see the commentary accompanying Romans 13. The message of the committee's proposal was appealing, but it was too complicated to place on a seal, so over the next 6 years, several committees also made recommendations. Congress finally placed them all in the hands of theologian Charles Thomson, asking him to create a final proposal. Thomson's design was submitted to Congress and approved on June 20th, 1782, thus becoming the Great Seal of the United States, still used today on official government documents, including a paper currency. The records of Congress contain his explanation of the various parts of the Great Seal. Reverse: a pyramid unfinished in the zenith, an eye in a triangle, surrounded by a glory proper. Over the eye, these words: Anut Coptis, Latin for He, God, has blessed our undertakings. On the base of the pyramid, the numerical letters MDCCL XXVI 1776. And underneath the following motto: Novus Ordo Seclorum, Latin for a new way for the ages, referring to America as a new model for liberty. Remarks and explanation. Reverse: the pyramid signifies strength and duration. The pyramid was the oldest surviving structure known to man at that time. The eye over it and the motto allude to the many signal, remarkable interpositions of providence in favor of the American cause. The date underneath is that of the Declaration of Independence, and the words under it signify the beginning of the new American era, which commences from that date. The report also contained explanations for the eagle, shield, arrows, and other components that appear in the seal, but notable among them is the watchful eye of God, representing his many signal interpositions in favor of the American cause. The framers not only believed that God had been watching over America, but they publicly attested to seeing clear and abundant demonstrations of his direct intervention. For example, General Nathanael Greene testified from his own experiences during the Revolution that it was obvious that the liberties of America are the object of divine protection. George Washington agreed, telling General Thomas Nelson that the hand of providence has been so conspicuous in all this that he must be worse than an infidel that lacks faith, and more than wicked that has not gratitude enough to acknowledge his obligations. I'm reading that again. The hand of providence has been so conspicuous in all this that he must be worse than an infidel that lacks faith, and more than wicked that has not gratitude enough to acknowledge his obligations. All right. According to Washington, the hand of God had been so apparent that if someone had seen what so frequently occurred during the Revolution and did not feel an obligation to thank God and show gratitude for all he had done on America's behalf, that person was simply wicked. Strong sentiments. But so too was Washington's conviction that America's liberties had been under the watchful eye of God. Today, some wrongly claim that the Great Seal was a result of influence of Freemasonry upon America, that Novus Ordo Seclorum really means New World Order. But those charges are easily disproved by numerous historical documents. Contrary to such claims, the Great Seal and the meaning behind its various elements were designed and created by the people who gave us our freedom and thought to honor God for his many miraculous interventions in establishing this great nation. It does not represent those who seek to change its meaning, co-opt it for their purposes, and are currently working to take our freedom away. For more information about the minimal role that Freemasonry actually played in the founding of America, see the full discussion of the subject in Freemasonry and the Founding Fathers at www.wallbuilders.com, or a short adaptation of that material entitled The Founding Fathers and Freemasonry on page 2077. We'll get there one day. Over the 6 years required to create the Great Seal of the United States, the first proposal began with a biblical image, and the last one ended with the founders' affirmation of their strong personal conviction that God himself had watched over the liberties of America. Such enduring, open, and public acknowledgement of God is to be treasured, and something around which we can gather today, just as the children of Israel long ago gathered around their representative seals.